Letting the room get filled in there. Thanks for listening and welcoming all my aliens, apes, and zombies. Booby, thank you for getting me introduced to John, who we're going to talk with in 1 minute in his sold out collection. Thank you, Danny and Bird, and probably a whole bunch of people from the Discord listening in. Oprah Z, and is that Palan, thank you guys all for listening in and watching too. I mean, that's the kind of cool thing is we can watch this stuff on Spaces now, and
that's weird.
What we're trying to do. We're trying to bring that next new wave thing into the space and spaces with live talking, chatting. I was running around there in the metaverse for a minute or two, but that's what it's about, is having fun in this space. And I'm actually going to click a couple buttons here. John, how about you give us a little intro to yourself, how you got into the NFT space, how you got into art, and the wonderful things that you have been producing for the tons of fans that are, in your Discord listening and watching right now.
Yeah. So I'll start with the art thing. So I've, been studying art and creating art like since I was a kid. So it's really just it's always been like a side thing that I did. I majored in art in college, but I decided I didn't want to work in it. When I sort of got into like career, like real world kind of stuff. But I never let it go. And then, at the end of last year, or beginning of this year, I should say, I had a hip surgery. So I was on my couch for, a couple months, and I had some friends that were into NFTs, and I'd been kind of into crypto for a while. So I was like, all right, let me figure out what this is. And, I researched like generative art projects and all of these different kind of things. And I was just like, oh, like I really want to make one of these, like a project like this. And it actually lends itself really well to like the style of art that I do. So, that the rest is kind of history. And, we, Avius is my first project, hopefully first of many. And yeah, that's a very short version of all of that.
So the Avius, and I love hearing the origin stories because Avius was, and lots of stories were made and formed just from COVID coming out, but this was actually like you're laid up, like you were stuck and you were pretty much stuck, and you figured out a way to use your creative artistic ability. You're able to network with your friends while maybe having a little bit of extra free time, if you want to call it free time, recovering, but able to craft from what you learned in your past through art and then making it into NFTs, very here. And like you can see by the community and how many people are listening right now that you are onto something, and it all starts with the eye of the beholder. And the art really catches me on this. Tell us a little bit behind the art of it, these, first of all, how is it created? A lot of these look like they're like hand drawn. Like I almost like see like almost like a crayon or a colored pencil type texture to it as I look at some of the high definition pictures on these.
Yeah, so it's actually funny because I was working on a bunch of other sort of generative art projects, nothing that's launched, but just like getting familiar with the space. And everything that I was doing was like very crisp, lots of vector work, very clean lines and like very exact. And I kind of just burnt myself out on that style. So, I sat down one night after like a day of like grinding in Discord for some allow list or something like that. I was just like, I just want to draw something that's more freeform and like fun and just like see what happens. And I drew one, um, and then I just started adding traits to it because that's just sort of what I kept doing as I learned more about the space. And you know, originally the intent was I would draw the kind of outlines that you're seeing now and go over them with a finer detail, to get that more vector look. But I kind of just really loved the sketchy quality of it. Like, you mentioned the texture, and that wasn't something I thought people would pick up on. But as the project started getting around after reveal, people kept equating it. They were like, it has this like crayon-like look to it, or colored pencils.
Like chalk or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely catchy. Like,
yeah, and it's all
and I'm
done.
glad to have you on to kind of go through it, you know?
Yeah, and it's all done just on an iPad. So it's all digital. It's just working with like the different brushes and all of that kind of stuff, which, when I was laid up on the couch, that's really what I did all day. It was like Netflix on one screen and then just drawing on the iPad on the other.
Man, it's beautiful. I mean, good stuff. And that's awesome. And that's exactly what it is. It's awesome. I
Yeah,
mean,
thank you.
and it adds to the questions, and that's what, people are looking at it like the same eye I have, and I'm far from an artistic person by any means. But it does catch the eye, and then and someone from community from the Wicked Craniums community Booby reaches out and gave us the introduction, then my ears perk up, because that is community, and it is other alpha in the space that's kind of like tapping, or like, hey, Crypto Novo, you should get this individual on your show. He's doing good things in a whole, not just yourself. And talk about the philanthropic effect that you're having, with these NFTs.
Yeah, so from the get-go, when we did this, I was thinking about like we're going to do a point oh 0.01 mint to keep it accessible, and that was what I wanted to do. But we also put that to, like, I posted on Twitter. I was like, a poll of like what the mint price should be based on the art, and everyone said point oh 0.01, which was like not surprising at all. But knowing it was a collection of 10,000, we're going to get 100, ETH from this whole thing. That's like a huge amount of money. And for me, like looking at the art, and at the time I wasn't planning to launch a Discord, and it was really just like you're paying point oh 0.01, you get this PFP. Hopefully, it's a piece of art that you like, and um, you know, then we'd end up with this 100 ETH, and like, because it didn't have at the time like any solid plans or roadmap, it was like, we'll just donate half to charity, because, then regardless of what happens, anyone who minted can feel good about, like, they get the piece of art and they also get to do some good in it. So like that in itself is sort of this instant utility. And when determining like what, how we wanted, like what kind of charity we wanted to donate it to, we decided, that it would, because like, I have so many friends in the LGBTQIA plus community and all of that, like it just made sense to support that community because they've always supported me. And in the face of like latent and like rising transphobia and homophobia, those organizations need a lot of help. It's interesting too because one of the holders, has a lot of experience with working with charities like this, and she shared a statistic that 28 cents out of every $100 donated, for charitable causes goes to LGBTQIA plus organizations, which, I live in New York City, and, it's, of course, it's a bubble here, but hearing 28 cents on every $100, I was like, that's I would have imagined it was so much more. But yeah, so, we were like, let's donate 50 ETH. And that equates, at the time, that equated to roughly $150,000, which is more money than I've ever sort of seen in my life, and way more than I'd ever had hoped to donate to a good cause.
An
And
awesome cause, and it's great, and it shows the heart, and it shows the community, and it kind of like, and please forgive me because I don't want to put words or knowledge that I don't know about this NFT thing, but like you didn't really even have a roadmap because you wanted to have it like organically grow. And then all of a sudden you're seeing success because of something cool that you created that you're able to share with other people. And now you're able to even share that even further with people that might not even have a clue about what an NFT is,
Yeah.
but what it is community. And that's what's building the community. And I've told time and time again, like the best way to build community is to give your stuff away for free. And if people like it, they'll build a community around you. You sold it for 0.01. I mean, that's pretty much like giving it away for free. I mean, you
Yeah.
probably incurred a whole bunch of gas costs just with minting those, unless you did a lazy mint, et cetera, et cetera. But then now look at how it's flourishing today, like right now. And keep in mind, the people who own these things have given back. People who minted them have given back. So like there's utility right there.
Yeah. And I think that, like, making sure that everyone who was getting into it knew that it had that side of it has created a really strong community of, like, you know, kind of caring individuals. And, like, of course, like, with any project in the sort of NFT space, like, a lot of people ape in based on hype and all of those things. And, they've been coming and going as holders. Like, you can't really avoid people coming in trying to make a flip. And, like, that's great because, you know, the more, like, it gives us, leverage to help build things for the community. And, originally when I launched this project, I was really upfront about it. I was like, I don't want to do a Discord. I don't want people grinding in Discord. I personally don't have that much time to spend in it. Although since we've revealed, I've been spending a lot of time in Discord just for whatever
Because you're
reason.
a fan of your own work, and that's what happens to everyone. You're slowly turning into a degen. That's what it is. I mean, and you're married to your work. You're married to your hobby. You're married to your friends, and that is your community in there. And I see it, and like, there are sacrifices that unfortunately I make at home around my family, but then those sacrifices are also like I'm actually playing with my friends. So it's like the different
Yeah.
conversion.
Yeah, and we ended up with, like, we have a huge, like, there's a huge part of our community that's based in China, and they've just, like, responded so strongly to the art and the cause. And that's not something I ever thought would happen. And for me personally as an artist, seeing, like, I've got a lot of projects, like, in my back pocket, art wise, and this one, like, being the first one, being a very low entry point, like, having the cause is amazing. But seeing people, for me selfishly, like, seeing people respond so strongly to the art in a positive way is, like, it's a huge ego boost, that I didn't really expect. I didn't really expect any of this to happen. And I keep this, my kind of thing that I keep saying is, this is what you want to happen. Um, and oh, see, our floor price has dipped, I guess. um, but, like, this is what you want to happen, but then you don't expect it, and then it happens, and you're just suddenly in a place of, like, whoa, what's happening? So yeah, it's been such a wild ride.
And that's what it is. It happens fast. And I always compute the time spent in this space is almost equated into like dog years, or like
Yes.
one day is like 7 days, 1 minute's like 7 minutes. So like if you step out of the door for a day, you might as well step out of the door for a week. And it does go quickly. And then all of a sudden opportunities do present themselves, communities do build quickly. And people, catch wind of it. And, that's what it is. And, it's never about where the floor price is. It's about the community and where it's going to be, and that's what it's all about. Because, like-minded individuals all hang out at the same time. And those things, turn into something bigger, something larger that you've seen. And like, when did this mint out? Was this like just like at the end of April, right? From what I remember,
Yeah. So
like the
uh,
29th, or what was it?
we I was walking around on, like, 2 Mondays ago, and I was like, oh, like, I really want to launch this project. The contracts had got set up through this platform called Omakase, and they were great. And they're like, yeah, it's good to go. So I was like, all right, let's just do a stealth mint. And it was totally, like, on a whim that I was like, all right, I'll just do this. on 420 because, that's obviously like a day in the space. And, I put it up, a bunch of my friends minted it and it's kind of sat at, 400 for a while. Then it started slowly spreading around like small alpha groups and small alpha chats. Then it got started to snowball a little bit. Then somebody sent me a DM that was like, all right, it's in the Doodles alpha chat. And they're like really into it. And I was like, oh, this is like, I did not expect Doodles to care about something like this, but
Yeah.
it brings it all back to like what you were saying. Like it really is about communities and like whether you're a blue chip holder or not like a blue chip holder, whatever. Um, there's something, there was when people find things that they respond to and rally around, they just go for it. And I was hosting a Twitter Spaces when it minted out, just because I was like, oh, when this happens to people and creators in the space, they go on Spaces and they talk to people. But I had been on a space a couple hours earlier that day, and it was just me and one guy, just kind of like shooting the shit and like talking. And he was like, "Yeah, man, like, good luck. It's a great cause. I love the art." And then, a couple hours later, we had minted out, and I lost my mind.
You probably grab the drink. Go ahead, grab a drink now, right on cue. Perfect, perfect. Catch your breath, because that's what it is about. That hard work that goes in there, the community that's built around it. And sometimes it is luck, but there's something behind your art, and there's nothing lucky about that. It's unique. The colors. Can you tell me like the colors that you use for it? Because they're like very unique and they're very in the same palette. And there again, I'm probably might be using the wrong term for all of this. Was it just like a color? First of all, with their floor prices here, hold on, I want to loop back to this because I was looking about this, and this is kind of what I do. Is look at the volume traded. Like 5 minutes ago, 2 sold. 13 minutes ago, 2 sold. 36 minutes ago, so that's what you want is the secondary sales, and that's movement.
Yeah.
That's people spread out, and that's the growth of that community. Like, look, I'm still scrolling down. That's not even 12 hours ago.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's when we had those days where we had our like big pumps where we were doing like 100 plus volume in a day, it was just like my phone was melting down. It was just, I mean, it was amazing to see that. But yeah, so quickly back to the colors. When I first actually started drawing this project, I wanted everything to be in black and white, and just like very stark, very clean, kind of like a there's an artist and illustrator called Edward Gorey, or it's named Edward Gorey, and he has kind of like, they're kind of spooky and weird looking, and it's like, yeah, I like that vibe. And I kept doing test runs, and I loved them, but I was like, all right, I was thinking about projects that I love, and a lot of the ones that I respond to have this kind of like fun, bright use of color, like Doodles being a great example. And I just stuck to like, color wheel colors, so red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And so, there's very simple bases for the bodies in just the solid colors. Then they get a little more detailed with some patterns on them as you sort of go up in the rarity scale. And once I saw the colors on them, I was like, all right, this is definitely like, it's way more entertaining. It's like exciting to look at. And then that was also sort of when I decided, I was like, okay, I want to make sure there's some one of ones in here. So, I added the 10 one of ones. Then the bodies of the one of ones became a whole trait, and it all just kind of flew from there. But the color, I think, if the color wasn't there, it wouldn't be the same.
but you still stayed true to the black and white nature that your origins are from, that you can tell through some of the clothing, either being vertical or horizontal striping. The hair is very interesting on it, because it's still at like back to like the texture aspect of it. Like, it still draws your eye, like right here, the braids in the hair, like it
Yeah.
looks braided, like it looks like it's woven, and you can see that just like through black and white, like you can see like right through it, and it's like either attention to detail or just the gift that you have in your hands while you're creating these things. Just like it looks so effortless. However, so skillful. You know, it's awesome. Here's the yin and yang, almost the devil and the halo on the shoulder here. I love that.
Yeah, that's one of like we're trying to we're trying to bring some of like, I'm trying to do some like quick turnaround things for the community, but everyone loves that trait, so we're trying to get it into like an Instagram filter or something like that. But yeah, I love those guys.
You need filters, huh? I could talk about filters.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I've I've like talked to a designer about it. There's still a lot to go on it, but it goes back to the color, like, some of the rainbow stripe ones, like everyone loves those. So it's like if you could bring sort of that avious kind of like world and aesthetic into, an Instagram filter or something people use in their daily lives, then one, that's like something nice. I wouldn't say it's a utility for holders because I mean it's an Instagram filter, it's cool, but like whatever. But it also helps, potentially bring new people into the project and like check out the space. But yeah, I'm
Well,
just trying to like with
I'm
no
with
road.
That's what I'm doing with these filters. I want to get these filters out there so people can talk and like take their projects to the next level, like talk about their projects and use it and have that means of communication and chatting with each other. I know Booby, he has one of his Wicked Cranium that he uses, not even an AR filter that I've generated, just one that he had produced and created, and it's a great means of communicating with others.
Yeah, for sure.
What's some of your favorite attribute classes within your own collection? I mean, you got to pick some favorites here. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't want to say there's always like which is your favorite. Like if you have a bunch of cats, which is your favorite cat or favorite animal? Yeah, you always say, oh, I love them all the same. No, there's always one or two that someone likes better or worse than the others. I shouldn't say worse, but likes more.
Yeah. No. So actually looking at that tweet, those are two of my like top or three of my top favorites here. So the Cyclops I really like. The Crown was like not one of my favorites when I was doing it, but as I saw it kind of come together in the final run of everything, it was just like a really nice and simple thing. And I actually the one that I bought one with a crown for my PFP. And then the stitched mouth.
There's your right
Yeah.
there.
So the stitched mouth is also one of my favorites. And it's just a reference to like a Hocus Pocus, like the Halloween movie from like when I was a kid. Like there's a zombie in that movie that his mouth is stitched shut. And I was just like, as you're creating these, you're like, oh wow, I need like how many different styles of mouth and lips can I make? And the great thing about this space is like it's really just limited by like what you can kind of imagine or what you can be inspired by. So just I kept churning them out, and the
This
the fangs are
inspiration that caught my eye, like after I started looking at these, was like Tim Burton and Nightmare Before Christmas like characters, just like long, thin, mysterious, like creature like, monster like, but still playful and fun. And that
yes,
it blended very well for me.
and it's it was funny because I did all of the art and I ran the test runs and all that before I came up with the storyline and the lore for everything. So it kind of like it's interesting that the art informed the story versus vice versa because usually it's kind of the other way around. But the Tim Burton aspect of all of them, it really plays into the story because there's like some dark kind of spooky stuff that happens that as I kind of think about how the project evolves, can sort of come into play and all of that. And I mean, to be equated with Tim Burton is like, well, that's huge for me. So I appreciate that.
Well, that's what I grew up, and that's what actually, that's what my kids watch for Halloween and Christmas is a double dipper, and
Yeah, no, I mean, you've got
it's about story, and you're telling a story here too with this, and I wasn't privy to this, and that's why I enjoy my friends out there, like Booby, who tells me about great artists, great things that are happening in here, and there's a story behind this. And I didn't know the story until hopping in the green room and talking about the three, is it correct, three different levels of creation here
yeah,
within the Heaven Storm, correct? So
yes. So
what is the influence and the storyline behind it?
So the influence is sort of like, I mean, it's very much based on like there's like a creation myth and kind of like a doomsday myth, all kind of wrapped in one, and it's very, very condensed. But basically, like thinking of the different sort of traits and the rarity kind of informed different like levels of experience that these characters have. So the baseline, the bottom one is, or I'm not going to say bottom, but the more common one is like the anime, which is just like a solid color body, in any of those colors. But as you go up, the elders are sort of the next step up, and they have the solid body, but they've gone through experiences in their life, or done things for their community that sort of change their body, and it's sort of seen like you can think of it as like a mark of honor kind of a thing. So you can see each of the base colors here has some kind of like flourish on it.
Their bodies are marked by adventure, wisdom, and power. Only
Exactly.
truly good and voracious ones will exhibit these markings, a rare breed amongst our kind. So it
Exactly.
shows they're calloused within the state. And I do see Ones has one who's listening right now. Birdie has one that's listening right now. Yeah, that's cool. I like seeing that.
Yeah, and then so the next level is the acolytes, which their bodies match the bodies of the one of ones, which are the gods. So these are like every god has 100 of these that match sort of like their body. And these, you think of like they help spread the god's power and the god's word and all of that stuff as part of the lore. And then as you go up, so the one of ones are the gods, and there's 8 gods, and then there's two. The last two, if you scroll up, are the um, the sort of like ordained people of this like society, or tribe, or whatever you want to call it, that are meant to like share and decode the will of the gods with everyone else. So you got these 8 gods and these 2 like scribes, and those are like the rarest of them all. They're all like complete one of ones, and yeah, it just kind of like flows down from there. But part of the origin story is their world came to be after this like big kind of big bang storm, which as you said was it's called the heaven storm. And then they go on, and like everything's great, and then there's this prophecy that something awful is going to happen, and that's when their world kind of falls apart. And there's one last city. It's called Tutus, which is Latin for safe, safe. A lot of the names of these characters are all based on Latin, and the gods just take them away to like they save the last 10,000 of them, and they take them away to like the Ethereum plane, which is like the blockchain. And this last bit here is like, okay, for them to get out of this blockchain and find a new home, they have to go across a bridge that has to be built from the other side. And so that's like a very kind of long drawn out way to say that like if you mint them, they come from the Ethereum plane to a new world. And the growth of the story and the evolution of these characters is all based on them being a part of like a new world. So if you think about that into the future, it's like did these dark forces follow them to the Ethereum plane? What happens to them after they've been a part of like this kind of new planet, new home after a while? Like how do they assimilate, and do they turn evil? Do they not turn evil? All of this kind of stuff. So it's so fun to play around with all the possibilities, and understanding that there's so much you can do with developers in this space to kind of grow these stories is the really exciting part, particularly because we have no roadmap. So we can all kind of like as a community think about how it grows together, which was not something I planned on. But after it minted out, everyone was like,
Why you're in that Discord. That's why you made that Discord. That's why the community is following you here on this Discord. I'm having a healthy show with your listeners. Thank you. all for listening. This is sweet. We have a comment coming in from IRL or URL. Thank you for listening and watching. He's been listening for almost a year now. So, but he's chiming in with amazing art there again. He's one that has been in the NFT space for a while. So, I mean, you're continuing to network and make friends, and get your name out in the space. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, no,
Um,
and that's like being able to like, meet new people and like get some faith in me as an artist is like, it's a wonderful part of this whole thing.
well, I mean, you're a writer for hire too. How'd you get 40,000 followers? Like, man? I didn't even really like look into any of that. I mean, I just thought I was coming in with someone, just cool. That's you know,
Yeah,
and
so I
go.
got a lot of my followers from I used to be an editor at GQ, and people would follow for my writing, for whatever I was sharing, and all of that kind of stuff. And I also, I've been on Twitter for like years and years at this point. So, yeah, a lot of my followers come from that space. It's a lot of fashion people and a lot of like fashion brands and that kind of thing, just because that used to be very much the world that I was in. Working with brands to get them in magazines and, editing stories and all of that kind of stuff. And, I tweet all the time. Just like,
Booby says you're a living legend. He probably knows you prior to coming into the NFT space. That's why it branches out and tweet. And that's part of it, is tweeting all the time, getting that network of friends around you in this space. You're in the New York area. Is that what I heard you mention before? I mean,
yeah,
um,
so I'm in Fort Greene in Brooklyn. So super strong like NFT presence in the city. And I'm really pumped for NFT NYC because I feel like it's just going to be, oh, there's my dog. Tons of opportunity to meet new people and like actually put some faces to these names that, I see in Discord or like, the DMs, all of that stuff.
You'll see this digital face out there walking around in the streets. You better come over, and I got a big hug waiting for you.
Okay.
I usually walk around with a sticker as my business card, and who knows? Maybe I'll bump you a Decentraland wearable that. Well, let's turn this head around. I got these Decentraland wearables that I'm pumping out there, and I'm actually just giving away for people for free, just because they're cool.
Yeah.
And I want to link up with people and, hit up your home state as well. And I was there the first round, and it was awesome. I loved it. It was
Yeah.
so much fun, and I can't wait to go myself. So what's next? What's next for, maybe tuning in right now? You have secondary sales going on your in OpenSea. The roadmap right now is pretty much being developed by your community on your Discord for the most part, correct?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of like ideas that I have in mind. And then, I kind of drop hints in the community and see how people react. Because I want like, I have a vision for where I want it to go and like some of the things we can do. So it's very much like, but I don't want to also take it to a place where the community is like, what? But yeah, it's very much like a lot of the decisions, it's all made by the community. Like how we choose to donate the 50 ETH, for example. Like, do we want to do one organization? Do we want to split it between a bunch of organizations? Do we want to, donate it in a way that somebody can match the donation? Which, the vote, there's still like maybe like 18 hours left on the vote, but the community is overwhelmingly decided. It looks like they're going to decide to do a match donation. So we'll end up working with a platform that will donate 100 ETH, 50 from us and 50 from them, which is amazing. And
Woo, man, you're not joking. I mean, that's the real deal you're dealing with there.
I know it's crazy.
What you got to do is you got to get one of those oversized checks, one of those gigantic checks, and present it at NYC NFT. And then it'll be a good photo op, and just like the money's going to this charitable donation and just whatever.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty dope.
I mean, I think that it's interesting too being in this position because I'm a holder in a lot of different projects and like being on the other side of it is a really interesting experience because, there's this constant sort of, there's always people who want, big
Yeah, look
announcements.
what's happening right now. We're live streaming, and you were worried about the floor, and now the floor is pumping, man. See? So, I
Yeah,
mean, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just got goosebumps when I saw that, actually.
no,
And,
it's
you know,
great. But yeah, like it's just building it with the community is amazing. And like I try to be I'm as upfront as I possibly can be about like building in a slow and deliberate kind of way. We just got to sweep, I guess. But like, yeah, I mean, there's in terms of how things get like things that I'm thinking about moving forward. I'm so interested in like the sort of serum mutation kind of space because I think when you look at the story and it being about how these creatures, characters, whatever evolve once they get to this new world, that's a great segue into like, oh, are there different serums? Like, what about the dark forces? Like, are they a part of a mutation? I'm in the process of 3D printing sculptures of the 10 or the 8 gods that are part of the one of ones that, will have printed. They're like, look like a Roman, Grecian kind of style, marble statue. It'll be 3D printed, so it's not going to be marble. But so we can like run some, like have some games in the Discord, like do some challenges and, you know, just I think creating anything that's like of interest for the people that are like so behind this art is really important. So, in addition to the sculptures, I'm slowly trying to create like a printed book or booklet or like, nice magazine thing. I have to do some budgeting before we figure out exactly what it looks like. But that's like a deeper sort of, take on all of the lore and, maybe it has like photos of all 10,000 of these. Just as sort of like a nice way to connect like the physical art, which has always been a passion of mine, to the digital art, which is sort of like a new sort of passion of mine.
that's awesome. And you got to have that connect. That's what people enjoy. And here's the one that just got bought a couple seconds ago from Flushin'. And that's the same. Is that the same Elder Orange, same coloring pattern as yours? Correct.
Yeah, I think the full name is Elder of Orange Flame.
Elder of Orange. Yes. We'll look at the
Yeah,
metadata right here. Elder of Orange Flame. Correct. Ooh, he's made by by the one that you for your
yeah,
PFP right there. That's great. That's cool, and that's cool to see. And that's as close as we can to a live buy in my eyes. I mean, someone's bought that while we're live on air, 5 minutes ago. So I mean, that's what it is, the spread and growth. And that is a new wallet owner too. So you have a brand new community member who entered in the game. I love the Boss Beauty, the Rolling Stones cover Boss Beauty.
yeah.
Meta Hero. Oh wow. I mean, this person got the Meta Hero universe in there. You got a strong entry from a new member of your community right here.
Yeah,
Chibi
he's an
owner as
too.
well. That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. Thanks for digging through your wallet there. Tens in the hole.
Yeah.
.eth. Thank you very much. I mean, that's pretty cool. New member of the community right there. It's pretty cool stuff.
Looks
And
like
that's
they're
what
holding it dead, fellas. That's never a bad thing.
there you go. Is that community, that nature. And then all of a sudden he's probably talking about and chiming in that Dead Fellas Discord as well. Hopefully we're getting some more people in on that action. So the website you can go into to get the what the storyline is. You can see the different what do you call them? I mean, I always call them aliens, apes, and zombies because it includes everyone. Because there's a set of gods, correct? There's elder
Yeah.
anime right here, and then
Yeah.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
um, man, and all Latin based, right?
Yeah. So it's very loosely using like Google Translate for like old Latin. But it works, I guess. The funny thing is everyone just assumed that I misspelled anime as in like the animation style. which I totally understand and get because at the time of Mint and still now anime collections were like super popular in the space, but it's like it's the Latin word it's the Latin translation for souls, I think, based on Google. So like nobody quote me on that.
Maybe, I mean, where did the word anime come from? Maybe that came from Latin and we just don't know and just got I have no idea. I'm talking
Yeah.
out of AR filter over here. Um, Again, I want to thank Booby for, that's what it is. These shows I do because sometimes I don't have time to do my own research, but I have friends in the space that reach out telling me that they're part of a great, strong community. What she did here. Yeah, much love right back to you. Thank you for tuning in. I know you're probably, well, you're somewhere halfway around the world, I believe. And then IRL or URL, again, thanks for following. Tons of people listening in on spaces. I hope you're enjoying the video spaces. I'm trying to bridge that technology gap so we can watch our spaces, not only watch it, but then have fun and kind of see the new art that's out there while listening. And I want you to keep in touch and, tell us the next phases on these projects. And if there's any big announcements coming up, feel free to share them here. You share some alpha with us in the room before with, some of the sculptures you may be making for the top tier ones. And Booby, the only reason I'm a pioneering legend is because I like to talk to people and I like to have friends, and that's what I'm going to continue to do is create friends in the space and see what's out there. And I like cool things from cool people. And check mark right here for you, John. Double J, anything else for your friends, family, any loved ones watching, listening at home?
Uh, I would just say that like everyone's really anxious to figure out if there's a brand collaboration, and all I have to say about that is it's a discussion and it's going to take some time, but it's definitely a discussion that's happening. Maybe.
Hey, that's what the important thing is, discussions, no matter what it is, because you can talk about things, and that's talking is a very healthy way and a very awesome way, obviously, of communicating, but that's way of getting a message across in one way or another. So keep on talking, keep on chatting. It is Gucci. It is all Gucci here. I don't know if it's actually Gucci, but I'm going
Be
with
very
Boobies
careful.
with
This project,
Boobies line. So blame him. All right. So pun on words there. All my friends listening at home. John, we'll have you back on. You can come on whatever you want. But hang out. I'll talk to you in the green room after the show here, and we can maybe devise a plan and get you on the show a little bit more frequently. For all
yeah.
my friends listening out on spaces and watching on spaces, thank you very much. Stay positive and love life. Peace.